Kare Shalom, welcome to our watercolor journey. Today is a relaxing day. We are going to paint loose flowers and experiment with colors. Loose painting is a very difficult thing for me. I want to follow the lines precisely and mix the colors exactly. I'm sure many beginner artists feel the same. So let's try this together. The materials used are listed in the description below. We are painting on Hahnemühle Expressions cold pressed 100% cotton. The brushes are from Rosemary and Company. We will use their Series 33 Kolinsky Sable brushes and also the Winsor & Newton Professional Rigger. Please help us to keep the channel going by subscribing and press like to keep the channel in the YouTube feed. We really appreciate your support. Okay, so on the palette we have Ultramarine, Sap Green, Hansa Yellow Medium, Transparent Orange and Transparent Red, and Sepia. The paper is on a block and it is placed at an angle of about 45 degrees. You can put it on a lever arch file or anything that will lift it up a little bit. Make a rough drawing of the flowers you want to paint. Don't attempt to be precise. Create your own. It doesn't have to be true to nature. Now you can use a spray bottle to wet the paper in patches. This will help to create a broken background. For these loose flowers, we don't want a solid, uniform background. Add a bit of ultramarine and spread the paint slightly by adding little bits of water. If the paint flows and forms a bead of paint near a dry patch, don't worry too much. You will merge it later. This painting is done in the vignette style, which means the background isn't going all the way to the edges. It doesn't fill the whole paper. You will have some hard and some soft edges here and there, which will give you some variety in your background. Rinse the brush and dab in some red dots where the buds are. Again, don't try to be precise. Your paper is wet, so the paint will flow and mingle. You will use all that to your advantage later. You can also add a bit of orange here and there for variety. Be aware, your painting is going to enter a seriously ugly stage. So don't get discouraged. You will salvage all of it with layers and detail and tonal values. Now you can add the sap green to the foreground. This forms the illusion of a grassy field behind the flowers. You can paint over the drawings of your leaves as you will add some more color to them later on. The colors you add to the foreground will serve as a base layer for the leaves and the stems. Add a bit of water to spread the paint. See how you can pick up the beads and spread them to fill in the foreground? You can also add a bit of yellow and more blue to bring variety into your foreground. Here you can imagine all kinds of things growing in the field. So add the colors from your palette gently into the existing colors. Even the dots of sepia will help to create the idea of rocks or dried bushes in the field. Add the yellow centers to the flowers. Now you can draw in the stems with a sepia. The paint will spread, but that's okay. You are creating distance with this fuzzy look. You can add stems of green and blue as well. Blue will make the stems recede, and that's how you create the depth. Wet the petals of the flowers lightly and then dip in some transparent orange and then touches of red. If your paper has dried too much by now, you can spray it again. This will make the paint flow as your paper is still at an angle. You can use a paper towel to lift out some of the excess moisture, but try to allow the paint to mix naturally. Okay, so now you can let the painting dry. Add another layer of yellow to the centers of the flowers and then dip in a little bit of orange and then sepia to create a shadow side in the centers. There are quite a few leaves visible in this painting. So how do you avoid a monotonous look? Well, you can use Sap Green as a base color and then add yellow for a lighter, warmer leaf, and that will come forward a little bit. Or you can add blue for the cooler shades, which will push the leaves back. Adding sepia will give you a darker green. So with these colors, you can create quite a variety of leaves for your flower patch. Allow your brush to do the work. Nothing here is precise. Draw the leaves in different shapes and add the colors to create variety. Draw a few stems with the sepia and the sap green. Now it is time for the next layers on the buds and the flowers. You can add the paint wet on dry. Play around with the red and the orange. You can even add some of the other colors from your palette. They will all help to make things more interesting. The main thing is, though, you have to control the amount of paint you use. Keep your touch light. You can always add more color, but sometimes it can become a mess if you have too much paint on your brush. That is why the mixtures in the palette are small and not too watery. Add another layer to the leaves so some of them can be more prominent. Use your brush to create different shapes for the leaves and for the buds. Allow your painting to dry thoroughly. Now it's time for a bit of detail. Add some shadow lines to distinguish the petals from each other. Draw a few veins. Try to curve them slightly here and there so they can create the illusion of shape in the petals. Once the veins are dry, you can add another layer of paint here and there to add variety to the petals. Finally, you can use some white gouache or white acrylic to add a few highlights to your elements. These highlights will bring your flowers to life. This painting is not supposed to be perfect. Here you practice layering and using colors to create variety. It's a loose technique which you can practice with different kinds of drawings and different color palettes. Allow yourself to break free from a set mold. Let the brushes and the paint do the talking. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to see you again soon. Vaya con Dios.